Okay, welcome to this short presentation about eTool Turbo. This is to just help communicate what we're doing in this space, both internally and externally. So the motivation, if we take the Australian market as an example, it's about 14,000 new dwellings every month, and 50% of them are detached. 20% are semi-detached, and in that market, we think it's around about 200 tonnes of CO2 equivalent per dwelling over the life cycle. That's pretty easily saved with eTool LCD. So we've done hundreds of assessments of this scale of development, and it's very easy to get really big carbon savings per dwelling. The challenge is getting lots of dwellings to make it add up. So yeah, probably in Australia you're talking about millions of tonnes of CO2 potential savings every year with a product like eTool Turbo. So very hard for eTool to turn its back on this market despite the challenges. So we'll just talk about those in a minute. So life cycle assessment's hard, it's cost prohibitive. This low density market is really cost competitive. So dollars per square metre, dollars per dwelling, etc. is just there's always pressure on that, really high pressure. Large numbers of participants. So your typical residential property, low density residential property development, there'll be tens of different, if not hundreds of different builders contributing to that development. So lots of participants, lots of different people designing the dwellings, etc. And a fairly disengaged real estate industry as well. So this is slowly changing, but real estate agents are generally pretty uneducated about sustainability initiatives, how to sell them, how that can become a point of difference, and what that should or shouldn't do to resale value. So it's not really in the lexicon at the moment of the sales thing. So the solutions to this are to make the LCA easy. So we think we can produce with eTool Turbo a reasonably accurate LCA with probably answering about 30 questions. Now, when I say reasonably accurate, what we want there is accurate enough to make informed design decisions. So, and our experience shows when you take the top 30 inputs to one of these low density LCAs, you do a regression analysis on those inputs to understand what the deviation from the norm is. You get reasonable deviation for each of your different sort of takeoff elements, if you like, so your inputs to your LCA. But as you start looking at the design as a whole, those things very quickly start normalising, and you get pretty good accuracy for the design as a whole. But more importantly, the delta between what you're intending to do initially and what the changes you've made due to the LCA, the error in that gets less and less. So for example, should I do double glazed windows, or should I do high efficiency air conditioning and heating system? Those kind of questions, the error associated with those gets lower and lower. So it's it's a lot lower than that potential footprint error, if you like. So you still, with those 30 questions, you can still make a really good informed decision about what design strategies you should be pursuing. We think we can get the costs to probably $50 per lot or per dwelling. So fairly low costs. And that's where we think it really needs to be to make it affordable for this this market. In terms of financing that, I think because the market is so highly cost competitive, we should differentiate the financing of your environmental strategies. So we've been talking to a couple of participants in the finance sector, banks, etc., and we believe there's some pretty good products that we could partner with eTool Turbo, if you like. So the financing associated with these strategies, which are also likely to help not only the resale value of the dwelling but also the operational costs in a lot of cases, that can be financed separately to the main purchase or the main build. That removes the pressure from the builders, who are always sort of concentrating on the cost per dollar squared and the cost per dwelling, etc. Large number of participants, so by providing a centrally managed portal, we can manage that. So a big land developer, if they set some targets for the development, and they've got 50 different builders who are building houses on that development, they can manage the performance of those designs centrally and understand how each lot is performing, or how the average of the builders are performing, how the whole development's performing, can all be managed centrally. It would also enable a large developer to prepay or pre-commit to the say the $50 per lot cost. So the actual people participating, so the owners and all the builders aren't covering that cost. It could be covered by the actual developer. In order to get more engagement from the real estate agency, it's really up to us to make sure that the reports that we're able to generate and the marketing material that we're able to generate from the solution is really state of the art, so that we start to get some engagement from that. So we've had some success with that in the past, but we can take it to another level and make sure it's really tailored towards this market as well. So in terms of where we're at, there's all these feed-ins to this product, eTool Turbo, which we've been working on over the best part of 10 years now. So first of all, you need a large database of building data. So eTool, the eTool platform now, we've got tens of thousands of designs, many of which relate to low-density residential buildings. You need conformance in your calculation methodology, so that's something that has evolved probably more at the industry level, with the life cycle assessment industry level, with the maturity of standards, etc., over the last 10, probably even 5 years. You need comprehensive component libraries. So basically, we've built these component libraries, so we have templates or component templates for double glazed windows and high efficiency air conditioners and all these things that can automatically feed in as inputs to an assessment or a life cycle assessment. And the last bit, which is the bit that we're tackling next, is the mobile app. So we want this to be in the hands of the people that are on the ground, all the salespeople, all the owners, all the developers. You know, we want people to be able to very quickly run these scenarios and understand what the effect of different strategies can be on these small buildings. And it has to be fast, it has to be accessible, and I think the right platform for that is the mobile app. Bring it to the people. So that's the last little piece of the puzzle, and it's what we'll probably be working on pretty soon. We need to clarify that in our next roadmap exercise, but that's the intent. So that rounds out the summary of eTool Turbo. So hopefully that's been helpful, and definitely get involved with the discussion below, and that'll help us inform the solution and or prioritise it as well.